Reaching very fast. So we are in half term at the moment, so you will notice the school is very quiet, but we do have students here. So our boarding facilities here at DLD are quite literally above us. So we're the only school in London to have all of its boarding facilities on site, and we stay open throughout the year. So we close at Christmas for 2 weeks and then across the summer, but half terms and Easter, we stay open. So students don't have to trek back home if they don't want to. They can stay. Catering's provided. We have movie nights. The boarding staff are here. So there are students around. We probably won't see many of them because I imagine they're maybe still snoozing away. But here at DLD, we have just under 400 students and over 60 different nationalities. So you can see all around the atrium here, these flags that represent the different nationalities that we have. So it truly is a really diverse environment. It's very welcoming, the students are lovely, and they really enjoy sharing lots of different cultures, or sharing their own cultures, I should say. About 60% of the students are boarders. So again, they live upstairs, and then about 40% of those are domestic day students. So there's a nice mixture between the two. And that sort of split is represented across the mix of international and domestic as well, as I just said. 60% of students are international and about 40% of those students are domestic. So we're almost at 50-50. But it's nice to have such an international environment. All of the students comment on how wonderful it is to be interacting with these different cultures. It prepares them for university and life after school. Yeah, it's just a very welcoming environment. So we're going to head through to the kitchen, then we can come back out and you can get the full view of the atrium here. But this, hope you can hear me, is our global kitchen. So students will have, if they're boarders, breakfast, lunch and dinner here. If they're day students, they tend to just have their lunch here. But if they do want to stay late after school for studying, there is the option of paying as you go for dinner as well. So it's very much wraparound care here at DLD. The food is great. The chefs tend to do lots of different cuisines so that everyone gets a taste of home at some point. At lunchtime, for example, this over here is normally our salad bar. And then we have a live cooking station where the meal is made in front of you. So the other day, I think we had teriyaki pork stir fry. We had Korean fried chicken wraps, and you can choose your filling. So it's a really, fresh ingredients, fresh meals for the students. We then have usually our main hot meal, which changes every day, and then some yummy desserts as well, which is always very important. We also have our cafe. So students don't want a hot meal, or if they want to snack throughout the day, this cafe is here for them to go to. So there's sushi there, sandwiches, baguettes, coffees, ice cream, boba, snacks, quite literally everything you could imagine. So they have a nice amount of options in terms of food. One thing is for sure is students are not going hungry. Now it's a horrible day here today. We've got a storm. I don't know the name. There's a storm whipping through London, so it's raining, windy outside. But we do have a small outdoor space here. We call it our Wellbeing garden. So you can imagine in the winter it's not used as much. In the summer it is. So students can have their lunch out there, they can play basketball. The chefs put on barbecues. Students use it for their end of summer parties as well. So despite being in central London, surrounded by Westminster, the London Eye, we still do have a nice little outdoor space. We do, again, it may be small, but we do still offer sports here as well. So we use the Archbishop Park, which is about a 3-minute walk just up the road outside of school, where there's football pitches, netball courts, lots and lots of green space. So sport is still very much a part of life here at DLD. The students in year 9 to 11, they have games or sport integrated into their timetable, into their curriculum. Once you reach year 12 and year 13 or international foundation program, sports is no longer compulsory, but there are football teams, netball teams, tennis, all sorts available for students to join. So our football teams and netball teams compete against other schools. So there's a little bit of competition going on. They can train after school, so they can still get involved with lots of sports. And we do have a gym downstairs as well that students can sign up to additionally, and then take part in strength and conditioning classes and all sorts like that. So we're back into the atrium now. So it's sort of set up for the boarders at the moment. During term time, this is used for assemblies, guest speakers, and then, like I say, it's a bit of an extension of the boarding house. So after school, all of the boarders can get out the ping pong tables. That never stops. They love table tennis. You always hear the sound of the ping pong going. They've got snooker, and then this here in front of me, we have a projector. So they often put on the football, or they put on a movie night, and they bring all the bean bags and the sofas around. So they almost like being in a cinema. It's rather good for the boarders. So they use this as their social space. And then in the day, it just becomes the heart of the school, where students can hang out during lunchtime, during break times as well. But it really is the centre of the school. Then we're going to head upstairs. So we have 15 floors of boarding and then 2 floors of teaching. So a lot of boarding and 2 very spacious floors. We'll just touch on this very briefly. We do have some fantastic alumni here as well. So one that I just wanted to point out as we're going past is Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Some of you may know her name, some of you may not, but if you look her up, you'll see she's been in quite a few big movies. She actually co-wrote one of the James Bond films. She's in a BBC television show called Fleabag, which is very popular here. She was this character in one of the latest Star Wars movies. But I just always think it's quite cool that Phoebe Waller-Bridge once went to DLD as well. And it kind of shows sort of the support and the types of students that we nurture to go on to do wonderful things. Now I'll just bring you around here, because this isn't the teaching floor. It's just our mezzanine floor where we have a lot of our senior leadership team. But if the camera can pick it up, it kind of shows lots of photos of what life is like here at DLD. So that there is, I think it was a Christmas party that the student council arranged. During enrichment week, we had chefs coming in, teaching students to make sushi. We have student bands. We have Duke of Edinburgh, which is quite popular actually. Just politics students off to the Royal Courts of Justice, business students to Sky Studios, and then we have our universities affair as well. So every student, when they join DLD in year 12, get a university admissions tutor who will guide them on everything to do with applying to university, whether that's in the UK, the USA, the Netherlands, whether it's in Singapore. That this tutor will guide them through everything from choosing where to go, what to study, how to apply, keep them on track with deadlines, and help them with interview practice, personal statement writing, everything that goes into applying to university to make sure that students have the best chance of getting the offers that they want. And then we have our universities fair as well, which was 2 of those photos that we saw there. So every year, 30 universities come to us here in DLD. So students have the chance to speak one-on-one with the admissions departments and the universities that they're interested in. So you can see we had UCL here, we had McGill in Canada. So we have universities from the UK and from the United States as well. So that's a really sort of unique and useful part of DLD for our students, particularly doing their A-levels and starting to think about what to do at university or post-school. We also have, in terms of some of the other photos we were showing before, we have over 40 different clubs and societies here at DLD. So in terms of life outside of the classroom, there's a lot going on for students. So we call them co-curricular activities, CCAs, and they tend to run after school, so Monday through till Thursday, from around sort of 4:10 when school ends through to about 5:10 or 5:30, depending how enthusiastic the students are. But this ranges from as I was mentioning before, our sports clubs, football, netball, the students who've done fencing in the past. We have drama club. I think there was a knitting club at one point. I don't know if it's still going at the moment. We have, which I think all the other clubs, robotics club. We have a Model United Nations. So there's something for everyone. And we ask that all students do at least one co-curricular activity. So no matter what year you're in, you have to do at least one. And it just makes sure that students are exploring different interests, interacting with other students who they might not normally get to interact with on a day-to-day basis. And just, you know, it's giving them lots to write about when they're applying to universities as well, or to employers as well. And it's just a bit of fun. You know, I quite think I'd like to join the robotics club. I have no idea how it works, but maybe I'd learn. But this is just, like I say, all these photos are just examples of life at DLD. The academics are very important, but we know that it's equally important for students to pick up hobbies, to have fun with their friends, and to enjoy being at school as well. Happy students mean good work and good results as well, and it means that they get to where they want to get to as well. So that's our International Day. This is just students in action during class. And then there's a 2-week Morocco trip last year. So students were hiking in Morocco, and I believe helping volunteering in sort of small local villages as well. A wonderful experience. You can kind of see a nice bird's eye view a little bit of the atrium of where we just were. As you can see, it's set up quite a lot for the boarders at the moment. And then we're going to head up to the first floor. So the first floor tends to be, well, is our arts department, our digital subjects and our humanities. And then on the second floor, we have mostly our core subjects. So English, science, maths. So it's kind of split. If you're a Year 9 student, for example, you'll probably be just about everywhere in the school for lessons because you do a little bit of everything. If you're a Year 12 student, depending on what subjects you're studying, you might be just around the humanities area, or you might be mostly up in the science department. It just depends what you're studying. So this is our little library. Students tend to use this as a quiet study space. We do have a partnership with the London Library, so if students do want specific books, we're able to get a hold of those for them and get them here for them. They can have them as long as they like and then send them back again. But it's just a nice quiet space, very calming in there, I'd say. And then we move into our art department. So we're very, very proud of our art department. And what I particularly like about it is the range of, I suppose, mediums and the types of art. So we do the traditional, the painting, the drawing, the sketching, but we also have digital arts as well. So we have digital photography and graphic communication. So students really get to pick up a lot of different skills in the art department, and then really eventually hone in on the ones that they're most interested. But you can see some of the work around the back there and sort of the talent that our students have. This, I believe, was some of the Year 13's work last year, so they've now left waiting to be collected. And then at the back here, I was just chatting with the art teacher today. I have to see if the lights turn on for me. But this is some of the work, there we go, that our current Year 12s are working on, I believe. It's just amazing. I wish I had that talent. But we have over 60 different student awards for art here at DLD. So we really encourage students to push themselves and to explore outside of the classroom and take part in these competitions to kind of understand where they stand against other students as well, a little bit of competition as well, and just pushing themselves outside of their comfort zone, that little bit. This is graphic communication. So as I was saying earlier, the more digital side, I really like these posters. I think they're fab. I think I said it before, say it again, I like it because it's all pink. Pink is my favourite colour. But this is our graphic communication suite. So it's a smaller one, but we have all of these computers with all of the latest software for really maximising students' learning. So they're looking, you know, like the Adobe Suite, for example, InDesign and Photoshop, picking up those digital skills as well, which they'll find very useful in careers as well in the future. Digital skills are very, very important. But it's a nice modern lab, and like I say, the students really enjoy being in here, using the computers to create all of these posters that you see. I'll go this way. So like I say, we also have digital photography as well. We have some digital cameras that students can use. So we always try to provide them with equipment and these modern facilities to really maximise their learning. And then we come into our Wellbeing department, our Wellbeing Centre. So we have an on-site matron or nurse. So if students are feeling unwell during the day, they can go and see her. We also have 2 part-time counsellors to give students that extra one-to-one support or mental health support. So they're available to book time with. Our head of learning support sits here in his office over there. So there's lots and lots of support for all students, no matter who they are or, you know, what subjects they're studying or what they're struggling with. We're here to help them. And we put a lot of emphasis on wellbeing at DLD as well, particularly having so many international students. You know, they're away from home, and they're also learning in a different language. I find it so impressive, you know, students coming over learning A-levels, which are notoriously hard, but not only are they learning A-levels, they're doing it in their non-native language. It's absolutely amazing. But the pressure can be high sometimes. So that's why we put so much emphasis on making sure they've always got someone to talk to and they've always got the support network that they need. Now here, as I always say, is our pièce de résistance, and this is our esports arena. So I think this room in itself is a very good showcase of or a very good showcase of the facilities that DLD can offer to students, and sort of, you know, our forward-thinking, innovative mindset as well that we try to instill in our students. So our esports arena is used for DLD Dragons, which is our esports team. So there's several different games that they play according to their age, and they actually compete against other schools nationally. So the esports DLD Dragons is a co-curricular activity, which we mentioned earlier on in the tour. We also offer it as a BTEC, so BTEC Esports Level 2, so equivalent to 1 GCSE, so it's for students studying GCSEs. Now, contrary to popular belief, the BTEC Esports is not just playing computer games, they're actually designing and developing their own esports team. So the BTEC is looking at all of the business plans that go into that, the financing, the marketing, the PR, down to the physio for the players, for the team members as well. So it gets students really gaining these sort of vocational hands-on skills, hands-on knowledge that they can use in the future. And the esports industry in itself is a huge industry, but it's expected to continue growing. So what we're doing here by offering a BTEC esports is giving students the opportunity to gain these skills that are going to be so valuable in an industry that's going to be booming by the time that they reach careers. And having those skills is going to make them that much more attractive to employers. And that will set them aside from everyone else who hasn't done a BTEC esports or hasn't had the opportunity here at DLD. So we're just trying to give students that upper hand for the future, to kind of make sure that they're one step ahead of everyone else on the DLD. And then we come round into our sort of media classrooms and then on to humanities. So we can just have a quick look in media, because I personally really like the computers because they're lovely colours. And I'm sure the media team would roll their eyes at me because they're so much more than pretty colours, but they have all of the latest software for media production. So it's a really fantastic facility for our media students. Some of our students who study media also run a television channel here, DLD Television. So they'll do documentaries or little news pieces that we can then display in the atrium throughout the day or throughout the week as well. So again, there's lots of opportunities for our students to broaden their skills outside of their classroom as well. They actually went off to New York in the Easter just gone. So that was our media students having the time of their lives in New York. I was very jealous. So we do trips abroad as well, on depending on sort of what subject you're studying. Some subjects have these trips away, and they were very fortunate enough to go to New York. Then we're into sociology. We have some history as well. So we can have a quick look at this history classroom, is it? It's very scarily set up for what looks like exams, but I love this classroom because I love all of the decor. So this is a history classroom. Every teacher sets up their classroom slightly differently, and I do think that these guys at the end of the term were having sort of end of half-term assessments, so that's why they're set up single desks. But this is just an example of a classroom on this floor. Every classroom has its own thermostat control, so in the summer it's lovely and cool, and right now it's lovely and warm. But they're lovely modern interactive whiteboards in every classroom. And I just like the decor, it's lovely. So this is history. So students can do history from year 9 all the way up to A level. And then I think we'll head up to the second floor now. So we have film studies in here, and then we move on to business. So business department here is, I think, our biggest department actually. So before we head up, I'll just show you this room. Oh, heavy door. So this is a business class, and there's a lot going on in here, but we have some very passionate business teachers. And like I say, students can take business at GCSE, at A level. It's also one of the International Foundation Programme pathways. And we also have BTEC business, which is very, very popular. But this is, you can see, slightly different setup of a classroom. Desks are in pairs, all facing the front. And lots of posters on the wall for students to read and sort of boost their knowledge and their learning. We have lots of these little study areas dotted around the school. So students, mostly year 12 and 13, who have study periods between lessons, will use these. But students after school can stay and study if they want to. So there's lots of space around for homework or additional studying. And then we're heading up to the second floor now. So as I said before, this is generally our core subjects, so science, maths and English. So we have a lovely science department. We're going into our science. We have 2 labs per subject. So I'm going to take you into one of the chemistry labs. All the way around. Oh, it looks like it's bearing all the chairs up, but so this is a chemistry lab. So it's lovely and bright, although the science labs, understandably, always have been very, very bright lights, but so you can see what you're doing. So students will have their theory lessons in here and their practical lessons as well. So we do a lot of practicals across all of the subjects as well, so students can really apply the learning that they're doing, in their theory. And I think practicals is often students' favourite part of a lesson. So we'll head out this. And then I'm going to take you to our biology lab, which I think is my favourite room in the building. We've got another chemistry lab, biology lab, and then one more biology lab at the end. This is a lovely big room, but what's great is you have this, because it's on the corner of the building, it has all of these windows, which when the blinds are drawn back, it's lovely, but you can actually see out onto the railway here. And I always think it's quite nice to look out and wonder where people are going, where they're coming from, but also we're very close to the trains, but you can't hear them. So number one, we're right by Waterloo, by the platforms. Trains aren't going fast, they're just coming in slowly or just leaving, but also across the whole building, sort of the double glazing in the windows, the soundproofing is great. So for learning, it's still a quiet, calm environment, but you've got all of the bustle of Waterloo, of Westminster, literally outside, but you can watch it silently, which is rather good. But I think sometimes students worry about the noise being in such a central location. And I always tell them, come and see us. You won't hear a thing whilst you're in the school. Now, I mentioned before about trips abroad, but a lot of our subjects do trips in the local area as well. So we really try to use London as our classroom. That's particularly relevant to our Year 9 students who get out into London every Friday and then they work on projects on wherever they visited, whether it's the Tate Modern, Museum of Brands, Tower Bridge, Tower of London. But here you can see with the biology, we had A-level students, they were off to Kew Gardens to do their field work. The GCSE Year 10 students had a field trip to the Natural History Museum. So, you know, we really try to vary the learning, use London because there's so much here for them to see and to sort of contextualize their learning into real life as well. And then another thing here I wanted to show you in terms of the academic support at DLD. Every single teacher here is incredibly dedicated to their students. They want them to achieve the best that they can. But we know that that's, you know, sometimes in class, for example, there's not time for students to ask all of the questions that they have before they have to move on to the next lesson. So we have subject clinics for more or less every single subject here. So here's just a nice example. So for example, if you're a Year 11, you know that every Monday, 4:10 till 5 in room 2.34, the biology teacher, Emma, will be there for you to drop in and get a support with your homework, with anything that you didn't understand in class, any areas that you're not sure on. And you know that every Monday at that time, you can drop into that clinic. Year 12, it's also Monday, but in a different classroom with a different teacher. Year 13, Tuesday. So every subject has this, and it just means that students know that they have the support that they need, and it's there if they want it. And they can drop in, even if they just want to drop in and say hello to their teachers, I suppose they could as well. But, you know, obviously it's for help with homework, help with work that they haven't understood or need clarification on. So now we're into sort of just a general sort of social space, but it also has all of our houses around the edge here. So we have a housing system here, much like Harry Potter, but just in the school, so not in boarding. So we have 5 houses and they're all named after tube lines that run near to Waterloo. So we have Piccadilly House, Northern House, Jubilee House, Metropolitan House and District House. Now, students don't have to wear uniform here. We don't have a set uniform. It's smart casual. But the uniform that they do have to wear, I suppose, is their lanyard. So students will be randomly allocated into one of these houses, and then they will have to wear a lanyard that's the colour of the house that they're in. Every house has a house master or a house mistress who kind of oversee the students in their house. They're the main point of contact for parents, and they're also another person that students can go to chat to for support, and they kind of keep an eye on how they're doing academically as well. We also have house parents. So if you're here on this tour at the moment and you're thinking your student might be interested in boarding and what's the support like, we have one house parent who lives in the boarding house from each one of these school houses. So if I was in District House, for example, I'd have my housemaster who's based in the main school. And then I'd have my district house parent who lives in the boarding house with me. And they visit me every week, you know, to see how my room is. And they kind of act as sort of like the second parent as well. So your parent away from home, essentially. And the house master and the house parent talk on a regular basis to make sure the student's doing well academically, doing well socially, sleeping well, eating well as well, and just making sure that they're a happy, healthy student. Now, the houses in the main school, they take part in competitions. So we recently had our house football. So the competitions aren't compulsory for everyone. Students volunteer to take part in the competitions they're interested in. So we had our house football recently, and then we have house art, for example. So this is some of the artwork that the students in Northern House made. We do house ping pong, house net. It's just a little bit of friendly competition, and again, interacting with students you might not normally interact with on a day-to-day basis, because you're in a house with students from year 9 all the way up to the International Foundation Programme. We have computer science, and then we go into English. So we have English literature, English language, and then we also have academic English. So for non-native students, mostly our international, non-native English speaking students, they will all have academic English lessons. So the idea is that we're helping them with their subject learning by broadening their English vocabulary and understanding, but more importantly, we're helping them to reach a certain IELTS level that they will need to enter into UK universities. So generally speaking, a lot of universities are looking for those higher levels of IELTS, and we are an IELTS exam centre as well. So particularly, for example, our year 12 students, if they join us at year 12, they'll have a year of academic English and IELTS preparation, and then they can take their IELTS exam here at the end of that academic year, with the idea that they achieve the grade that they need for university. They have the results so that when they move into year 13, they can apply to university and have all of the conditions that the university will be asking for. But this is just one of the classrooms, academic English. Again, you can see it's a slightly different setup from the other classrooms that we've seen. So this teacher has chosen to have all the desks in a row, but this is also a lovely classroom. I love all the leafy greens outside, and we're lucky because the trees still have the leaves on. It's nearly winter, so those leaves will be gone soon, and then they'll come back for the summer. Just shut this door here. So again, you can see here with the IELTS, we have 16th of May 2026 at DLD College, the IELTS examination that students can take. So this is all English. We have a big English department for all of the different types of English that we teach here. And then the final classroom I'll show you here is a maths one. So it tends to be used as a year 9 maths classroom. So this again looks like they've had a few exams at the end of the year. It always scares me, takes me back to school. I was never a mathematician. I always feel a bit nervous. But I like this room as well, and it looks out onto sort of the main, well, the roundabout. So behind these lovely trees is Big Ben. Sadly, we can't see it at the moment. But when those leaves drop off for the winter, you'd probably just about be able to see Big Ben. So we really are super central. We're a 5-minute walk from Waterloo Station and a 5-minute walk from Westminster as well. But this is some final classroom I wanted to show you. And then we'll head back down via our art exhibition. And then I think that probably just about finishes the tour. Now, of course, this is just almost a whistle-stop tour. So you'll have to come and visit us for the full experience. Particularly if you're interested in boarding as well, I would definitely recommend, if you're over here, dropping in to see us. And we have a lovely art exhibition. It's a little bit dark at the moment. So it's Black History Month at the moment. So this is sort of a display that some of our students and art staff have put on. But then we have all of our year 13 artwork that stays up throughout the year as well. So it's a nice place for students to come and browse. We've got our own private gallery, essentially. But every year we have an art show. So you can see here, the Art of DLD. This was the year that just went, where the year 13 students who are leaving us get the opportunity to showcase the work that they've done. And just looking around, as I'm sure you've seen, there really is such a variation in the types of work that our students do. We've got photography, we've got print, we've got fashion design, we've got a model over there. We've got all sorts. There's charcoal paintings. There's what looks like pencil drawing. So there's, they really do explore the different mediums. But it's just a lovely space in the school to give students the opportunity to showcase what they do here. It lets us celebrate it as well. So I think the final view over here onto our lovely school. But if you do have any questions, you can let us know. I think that just about finishes the tour. I'm trying to think if I've forgotten anything important, but if I have, it just means that you'll have to come and visit us for the actual in-person tour. But I'll leave it at that. I hope you enjoyed it today. It's a wonderful place to be. Our students truly are so happy here. They're so friendly. So please do come and see it for yourself. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks very much.